Of the academic year for the Year of Peru. My name is Dan Paraca, and I'm a co-coordinator of the Year of Peru. I'll quickly highlight a few things in the schedule that I want to draw your attention to before we introduce today's program. The first is on September 22nd. We will have a live concert with music and dancing from a group called Ika Sun, and that will be at the Bailey Hall, and that's a Thursday night at 8 p.m. And that is a ticketed event. That's one of the few events that is not free. So it's a $10 ticket for that event. You should go online to the box office and get your tickets early. I think we'll probably have a sellout show. And then the Year of Peru Day, which is on October 5th, and this is a big festive event with music and dance and food, which is free, and it'll be in the Student Center at 12:30 on a Wednesday. So most of the events are 12:30 Thursdays here, the lecture series, but then there are a few other events that are in other locations at other times. In conjunction with today's panel, we'll have a photo exhibit that opens tonight at 5 o'clock in the IGI Gallery in Willingham Hall, and that will be going on then for about a month, where you can come and enjoy the photographs of the students and faculty and staff who went to Peru last year. Let me recognize my co-coordinator, colleague Ernesto Silva. Stand up, Ernesto. And lots of you know him. He's our one and only Peruvian faculty, although actually I think I can qualify that statement. Oswaldo Gaviria, please stand also. Professor Gaviria is a visiting Fulbright professor who will be here with us all year long and teaching courses in the spring.
Let me just tell everybody, thank you for being here. It's an emotional moment for me to have the beginning of the Year of Peru. Many of you are here because you need also a little proof of attendance. Please come see me, or if you see your professor here, so we can sign a note for you, so you can come in back to class and tell us what you attended. So, after, absolutely. After all this time, after you ask your question and everything. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to turn over the program to Ryan Satterwhite and Karen Howman.
Thank you. We're making sure we have our technical difficulties ironed out.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Ryan Satterwhite. I work in the Center for Student Leadership with my colleague, Karen Heilman. We're here with you because we have the good fortune of traveling with most of the students that you see in front of you to Peru for Maymester this past year. Phenomenal trip, amazing experience. It is a part of the 3-year LINK Leadership Development Program that we have on campus, and each year we go abroad as a final kind of capstone experience to bring all that they've been learning together into one final point. So we're going to be hearing from all of our panelists, but we actually have 3 stories to share with you today, 3 different trips to Peru. I'm going to let the panelists introduce themselves real quick, and then we'll dive into the first one. Zach.
Shall I stand, or I can articulate and be last. I'm Zach Hoffman, and like Ryan said, I traveled with the LINK group to Peru, and we went all the way around, and we had a blast. And I'm looking forward to sharing my experience with you guys.
I'm Carlita McCoy, and I'm also with the LINK program.
I'm Erin Shea. I recently just graduated from Kennesaw, and I majored in modeling and culture, and I did an internship in Trujillo, Peru.
Judy Murphy. I'm an art student, and I went to Peru in a photography expedition, and I was there for about 3 weeks. It was fabulous.
I'm Jordan Rice, and I also traveled with the LINK program to Peru this past May.
I'm Brandon Krusak, and I also was part of the LINK trip to Peru, and I have to say, everyone should go see it. It's amazing.
My name is Deanna Brooks, and I'm also part of the LINK program.
I'm Brittany Daly, and I'm part of LINK too.
I'm Heather Hendon Sigley, and I was also part of the LINK trip.
Great. So there was a fierce round of debate behind the scenes as to who would go first. It's going to be our LINK group to share their experience. So if you could collectively just introduce the documentary that we're going to be sharing and give a little background about the experience.
Like I said, my name is Jordan, and I was one of 15 students that traveled to Peru this past May. And kind of like what Ryan said, the LINK program is a 3-year program, and it starts out with Emerge, which is a more individual base, and then it moves to Ascend, where you start looking at global issues, and then Leads is the final year, where you plan an entire study abroad trip to another country. And so we planned the entire trip ourselves. And we chose Peru mainly for water issues and to focus on orphans and orphanages. So while we were there, we actually met with a person about different water issues in Peru, as well as we visited and played with some kids at an orphanage while we were there. So we also, at the end of our experience, we collected all of our pictures, videos, and everything. And like I said, we had 15 students, so you can imagine the pictures and media that came in with that. And we filed it down into a documentary, which is what we're going to show now to kind of give a brief overview of our trip this past May.
And just to provide a bit of structure to today's talk, we're going to go through each of the 3 trips and then have a brief Q&A that Karen and I will lead with the students, and then open it up to anything that you may have.
Should we talk? I think we're okay.
I'm just so excited. It wasn't what I expected, but we're gonna have fun. Patrick, don't eat the What do you think of Lima?
I thought Lima was very nice. I really liked going around the bus and seeing like how things change whenever you get out of Miraflores and you go towards really the deeper parts of the city. It was interesting to me.
that turned into. Hola. Buenas tardes. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo estás? Just because everything's changing doesn't mean it's never been this way before. All you can do is try to know who your friends are to say goodbye.
So we had a fun phone call from our friends in New York trying to connect to Lima. Turns out they didn't have seats with their tickets. And after Ernesto, Elva, myself, and them putting pressure on Continental, something worked. And we're going to be seeing them tonight.
We're on top of the roof of our hotel, and this is what's going on below us.
There's a strike going on in the main square with mainly miners and other groups. They rally together to try to get approximately 10,000 people probably more. For higher pay.
There's the labor union party symbol burning on the mountain.
It's also coincides with the election.
grow stronger and stronger.
Take off. What do you guys think?
I'm nervous. But I'm ready. I think it'll be fun.
Left to right.
I think we're in my heart.
Yeah, well, Janice is pretty bad
Chances on every day. Left to right, down up and inside out right. Good love fight for every day. Jump in the mud, get your hands filled with love.
We're going from the city to, as you can see, it's getting metropolitan here. And I don't know, I think we're going to get a reality check of what really this country has in terms of landscapes and lifestyles according to the landscapes. I think we're going to learn a lot.
Lay it down. How crazy is that?
We're on a train, fellow niggas. Take a look at us. Straight riding on the train and not a stinky bus. Rusty real sweet, crossing that evening for rain. You can't stop us, who knows records, cause we're riding on a train. Take a fish and dish. We're on a train, we drinking pisco sours cause they're so sweet. We got our sunblocks and our snacky. We're wearing zip pops and Jordan both straight wearing khakis. I'm riding on Obama eating grass. Everybody all wet, stay a penny too. It's as real as it gets. We're on a train, fellas. We just don't you ever forget. We're on a train, and it's going fast. And all of us gotta have nasty. With the world, we're on a train of life. If you're in the six, then you're showing mountains in life.
All right, now we got Brittany already.
I think with our time, we're going to transition straight into our next trip to share with you.
This is Peru. Just this vast vista of space with these beautiful, incredible mountains and warm people with open arms. I was so impressed with the architecture of the Incas. They built stuff in the middle of nowhere. I don't see even how they got the stuff up on this mountain to build this sentinel. Lima. Lima is beautiful and sad at the same time. These are children that slept on these statues. I caught this while I was riding by on a bus. This is a vision of Lima, and it is a coastal city. I was fortunate enough to be there on a sunny day, because it's usually very overcast. And a man, which I'm going to show you his picture in a second, jumped off this bridge, and he does it, he's apparently crazy, and they know all about him. This is the man that jumped off the bridge. He came to us and told us he was going to jump off, and then he did. And this is a view from a restaurant in the city of the coast. It's pretty, I thought the waves, obviously it's pretty deep water because of the way the waves were, but it was really beautiful. This is one of the police women, a director of traffic, and they say that these women are meaner than snakes. This is the presidential palace, and I was very taken by the guards. I thought their costumes were pretty colorful. While we were there, we visited the market in the city, and it just so happened that they had a religious procession while it passed by, sort of passed by, because they go like 50 feet, stop, wave incense, and then go to the next thing. And they eat food. Apparently this thing is really heavy, and it's somewhat of a penitential rite. I spoke to one of the men in this group, and they told me they did this as a penance. And the ladies have these incense cups that they wave at the religious pictures on their way. These are two of the churches that I visited. San Francisco, all these little black dots are pigeons. The pigeons like stay in there. San Francisco has got a well that has an enormous number of skeletons in it, and they're all arranged in a design, but they won't let you take pictures of it, which bothered me to no end, but I lived with it. St. Augustine is a church that was pretty much destroyed by multiple earthquake eruptions. All of the buildings in Lima have some evidence of damage because of it's on the ring of fire, and there are many earthquakes that occur all the time. And I just thought this church was so Edgar Allan Poe. But then there were flowers. So about 40 kilometers outside to the south of Lima is this village. This Inca village was described to us as being the storage place for the Incas. They had 10 years worth of food stored in structures around it. But it was also a religious site, and there was evidence of current religious sacrifice. There were flowers, and as a penance or as a sacrifice, they paint the walls in yellow and red in this. And I have pictures that I'm not showing you of this activity. Cusco. Cusco is beautiful. It was the door of the Sacred Valley. And you see this sea of red tile. You can't imagine. I can't take a picture to give you that vision of this red and blue skies. Oh my God, blue. And then the mountains. I wouldn't even begin to try to say this, but this was a city in the Sacred Valley. There's a market there which had a lot of interesting artifacts that you could buy, cloth, native crafts, food. But also this part of it was, they think that it was a religious site as well as a living place for the Inca, the head Inca. And I just thought it was so beautiful. Sacsayhuaman. This site is outside of Cusco and actually sort of part of it. This was, they're not real sure, but they think it was a religious site. And the walls, I could not believe it. These walls there they don't know if it's the shape of jaguar teeth or lightning, but they feel that there was some religious significance to the site, and they've also found that there was evidence of an earlier civilization to the Inca that were there. The stones that are there you could not put a piece of paper in between those stones. They were so finely laid. This particular stone right here is 20 tons. It's amazing what they did. And they didn't use the wheel, so how they got these stones and laid them in place just blew my mind. Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu is 9,000 feet up. And they apparently leveled a mountaintop in order to build this city. And once again, they used this construction that included blocks of stone, not using mortar, that survived earthquakes in this very earthquake-prone area. This site, they felt, was either and/or a religious site to some extent, an agricultural site, because there are terraces along the edge of the mountains. And they felt perhaps that they experimented with the crops on here, but it also, they felt, was a resort for the Inca, the head Inca. This is the Temple of the Sun, and I think it's the summer solstice that comes in the central window perfectly. They felt it was perfectly aligned to the celestial beings, and the Incas were very aware of the stars and the moon and had quite a knowledge of it that I think we're just discovering now. Kind of an interesting story about this llama is there's a whole bunch of llamas there at Machu Picchu. They came up to take a movie and brought these llamas because they thought it would look cute in the movie. And then they came to pick them all up, and they were, forget it, the llamas weren't going to be caught. So, the native dances, I was fortunate enough to go to several occasions where native dancers did some of their dancing very colorful, very spirited, really fun. But the most spirited, the most fun was the scissor dancers. They were mind-boggling. They dance, it's kind of like a dare. Two guys are daring each other. Okay, I did this cool move, now you do it. And the whole time you're doing it, you have to have a big old pair of scissors in your hands and you're clacking them. It was amazing. Coca. Everywhere we went, there was a bowl of coca sitting there. Here, help yourself. Also, the hotels, especially in the Sacred Valley, because it was really high up, would always bring you coca tea when you were checking in. And I tried it, and it was kind of like wine. It kind of made you feel good, but you know, it didn't make you crazy. You know, you weren't hallucinating, but it did help in the altitude, which is what I was doing. The food was awesome to me. I don't think they had the same experience, but I loved ceviche. Oh my God, it was great. And I don't like fish, so potatoes. Interesting thing. This is from a native market that I was fortunate enough to go to. There are 800 varieties of potatoes. In the world, we only use about 100 of those varieties. They all came from Peru, as did tomatoes. The corn was huge. Each little kernel of corn was as big as your thumb. I could not get over it. This woman, I stopped her and I gave her a soul, but this is grass for her kui. What are they? Yes, they eat grass. But I was kind of on. These are, we went to a Quechua village and they spoke Quechua. They did not speak Spanish. And these are some of the children that were there. You can tell who everybody is by the clothes that they wear. You can tell women. They have a series of safety pins that they wear, and these safety pins have meaning that I couldn't figure out. But these are some of the children. The cheeks, I believe they told me it had to do with the altitude. It's very cold and it's very dry, and their cheeks are chapped. And these are just some children elsewhere, including a llama. And this is in Chinchero. To me, it was a big textile town. And these women were weaving for us and showing us how they dyed their wool and other things. And this was in a market in Cusco. This big pile of stuff right here is cheese. I always call her the cheese woman. And then obviously that's a herb woman. And this old lady, these are 3 different kinds of corn, and it kind of looked like hominy in this market. And these are cameloids. I learned this. A llama has long ears. An alpaca has short ears. And whenever you buy the textiles there, they always say baby alpaca. It's always baby alpaca. And it doesn't mean that they shear babies. It's the throat of the alpaca, which is supposed to be finer. Now, this one is in here because one of the kings asked for, or one of the leaders of Peru asked for a statue. And he asked, don't forget the llama. Well, what he meant was, don't forget the glory and the fame and stuff. And so what the sculptor heard was, don't forget the llama. So he put a llama on this woman's head. So,
A nadie le importa que piensa usted. Somos un agujero en medio del mar y el cielo, 500 años después. Una raza encendida, negra, blanca y caída, pero ¿quién descubre a quién? Ay, el costo de la vida, arriba tú, y el peso te va. La corrupción para arriba, y el peso te va. Pobre miseria y la delincuencia, aquí no se cura. Y ahora el desempleo, a nadie le importa. Y ahora me subí. La recesión para arriba tú, y el peso te va. Pobre miseria aquí no se cura. Y ahora el desempleo, a nadie le importa. Y ahora me subí.
Hoy es un día normal, pero yo voy a hacerlo intenso. Hoy puede apagarse el sol, pero no la luz de mi alma. En un día como hoy, caminaré más despacio. En un día como hoy, defenderé mi verdad. En un día como hoy, te amarraré con mis brazos. En un día como hoy, porque nunca sabes lo que tienes hasta que lo pierdes. casa de mis sueños. Mi sangre arderá por ti hasta que me pierda por tu cuerpo. En un día como hoy caminaré más despacio. En un día como hoy defenderé mi verdad. En un día como hoy te amarraré con mis brazos. En un día como hoy, porque nunca sabes lo que tienes hasta que lo pierdes. Lamentablemente nunca sabes lo que tienes hasta que lo pierdes. Lamentablemente nunca
All right, there's more to that, but in the name of time and getting to the opportunity to hear from some of these people, Erin, can you just contextualize that a little bit and talk about
Yeah,
it?
at the beginning, the city of Trujillo, and then the next goes to like the ruins of Chan Chan and Huacas de Luna and Salt, and then they're in Trujillo. And while I was there, that's what I got to do on the weekend while I wasn't volunteering in the orphanage. Go on some excursions, and basically in the orphanage I was just helping kids with their homework and playing with them and basically just speaking Spanish to them all day long. I had one kid come up to me and start eating my hair and ask me if it was real, and and one kid called me Barbie doll and all kinds of crazy things, but they all came up to me and would hug me and tell me that they didn't want me to leave. And then I lived with a family as well, and it was a really good experience.
All right, well, I guess we'll get started on the question part of it, part of my cheat sheet here. I don't expect you guys to go down the line. Everybody answer the question, but if you feel so moved, these are some questions we have for you. What's your favorite memory of your time in Peru?
I would have to say the sandboarding. It was one of those things where we kind of planned what we wanted to do, and we had like sandboarding. I'm not sure parasailing was on there, but all these activities, and we just voted it down for some reason. But we ended up stopping at this oasis, and they were like, "Hey, we have some dune buggies in the back. Would y'all want to go sandboarding?" And we were like, "Oh yeah, how much does it cost?" And they're like, 50 sols. I was like, "Well, that's kind of expensive." But I still had money because it was like the third day, so I was like, all right, we'll do it. I have to say that it was the best. 50 sols is about $18.18, so it's probably the best $18 I've spent the whole trip. You saw some on the video. You just basically ride around in this dune buggy, and we had a crazy driver. I mean, he was like practically doing flips. Not really, but you know, you just go up to the top of the dune and go back down, and then they take you to the top of the dune and they just park the dune buggy, and they're like, all right, get out, and you get on your little board and go down the dune. It was awesome.
You want to talk about value? I'm still like picking sand out of places. Reminded of that every day.
I left a Kennesaw State hat out there in the desert somewhere.
Archaeologists will find it.
Yeah.
Kennesaw's left their mark.
I don't know, maybe our guide went back and got it, now he's sporting it around the city.
Who else? Who else has a favorite memory?
one of my favorite memories is we were just about to leave Aguascalientes, getting on the train to go back to Cuzco, and we were in the village, and this lady came up to me, and she was a merchant. She had a stall at the market, and she didn't speak a lot of English, and I didn't speak a lot of Spanish, and we had this conversation. I discovered she was a grandmother, that she lived in Cuzco, and we just had a really warm conversation in our halting language barrier. And I went off and I was leaving, and she ran after me, and she gave me this little pin of these two little senoritas kind of hugging each other, and that was one of my most touching memories.
I think my favorite memory was Machu Picchu, because for me it was like, you know, you go around and everybody's telling you how great Machu Picchu is, and you see pictures of it on the internet, and then, you know, once you get there, it's just so huge and so pretty. But it was weird because, like, when we first got there, we got there like 9 in the morning, and it was foggy. You couldn't see anything. I was like, man, this is really lame. But then, like, as it got warmer and as the sun started coming up, all the clouds and the fog just burned off, and then you have to climb up to the top of this little hill to get the postcard picture that everyone always sees in Machu Picchu, and it was really like the highlight of the trip for me.
I was one of 3 students that actually flew over the Nazca lines. The other students went to a tower and got to see 2 of them, but we saw, 13 of them?
Yeah, we saw.
And it's pretty amazing that they're like this deep, and they've been around for hundreds of years. And they're just massive. I mean, we saw the spider and the monkey and stuff like that, but there's lines that are perfectly straight that go on for miles, and thousands of these lines, and no one's really sure how they were made or why they were made, but it's really fascinating to see it, especially from the air.
Yeah, I'd have to say that my favorite memory is seeing all the different landscapes. I mean, you go to Peru and you're thinking, okay, Peru, it's just a single country. But as you progress from Lima, the coastal area, we went to Paracas, an island where you saw penguins in the Pacific Ocean. And from there we went to Ica and the desert, so we were surrounded by the desert. And Nazca, I mean, you could mistake it for the beginning of the Hindu Kush foothills in Afghanistan. It was just so many different environments, and you just went from one place to the next and just saw everything. You wouldn't think you were just one country.
Along those lines, just to kind of sum up what he said, the one day where we went and saw the penguins and stuff in Paracas, I mean, we saw sea lions, and also we were floating around on a boat and everything and getting a nice tour. Later that day was the day that we went sandboarding in those mountainous sand dunes and stuff like that. So that just goes to show you the diversity and the real vast landscapes that Peruvians have.
One of mine, besides, sandboarding and of course Machu Picchu, is the shopping experience that we had. I think in each place that I went to a different place to shop. They have stands set up on the side of the road when we would get off the buses, and there'd be ladies there, and like you said, they would show us how they were making the different textiles and stuff like that. So I was always eager to look and see what I could buy at this stand and what I could buy at the next stand, and that was also a good opportunity. I knew very limited Spanish when I went, and that was the best opportunity for me to get to interact with them and use the small Spanish that I did know. How much, how did you make those different things that I had picked up along the way, and that was my best interaction with the actual people there that I got to use.
My favorite memory in Peru was just being able to interact with the people and help the kids in the orphanage and utilize my major. I really love Spanish, and I was really excited to be able to talk to people. So.
Okay, next question. This may be an obvious one for you, Erin, but how have you been able to apply what you learned or what you experienced upon returning?
I'm on staff at the Southeast Regional Model UN Conference, and I'm in Security Council, and we're talking about climate change. And I had to write a paper on how climate change is affecting peace and security. And one of the things that we did while we were in Peru was we met with one of their legal experts that deals with water issues, and as we were touring the country, we learned a lot about how the climate has affected the glaciers and the the underwater aquifers, and they had 6 oases at one point in time, and now they only have 1 that's supplemented, over 50% with water in order to keep it viable. And all of these things, the riot in Puno and all of that, helped me to write the guide that the delegates will be using in November to compete in this conference, and to have firsthand knowledge as well as all the research we did beforehand was really invaluable, and I look forward to more opportunities to use what I've learned.
One thing that I learned was the idea of time. In America, especially when you get in college, you're like, I gotta be here at 12:30, and then my next class is 2 o'clock, I gotta be there. We're just bam, bam, bam. Well, down there they were like, meet me in the hotel lobby at 2 o'clock. That could mean 2:30, 2:45, like we would all be there at 2 o'clock, we'd rush, and then the bus would show up at like 2:30. So I just learned to just, take life slow and as it comes, and not to just be so involved with, I've got to be here, do this and this. Just slow down and really enjoy life.
I can say for me, my experience was fun, and I realized that it was fun once I got back home, because I was very homesick the entire trip, but all the experiences that I went through were fun, and I learned a lot going there. And I know now, like, I'm taking an anthropology class, so we learn about a lot of different cultures, and it's just interesting to know that I can use the experiences that I had to make an example for what I'm learning in my classes. So it was a very good experience, and anyone that has an opportunity to go to Peru, you should go, because there's a lot of different things there, and you'll just be amazed by some of the stuff that you'll see.
My experience, if anybody is studying a foreign language, I say go to any Spanish-speaking country or whatever language you're studying, and really utilize it. It's really worth it, and I feel like my confidence in speaking Spanish grew so much. So
I kind of feel that having traveled, it's going to better enable me to pass on the information to students. I'm in TOS program right now, and I'll be student teaching in the spring, and I just think that having traveled and seen things firsthand, I can relate it better to whatever students I may have in the future.
Going abroad, definitely, you have to go at it with an open mind, otherwise you'll really rob yourself of a lot of experience. But that whole mentality can be taken back to the States with you, and it's applicable in almost anything that you do. Be more of like a yes man, and you'll be surprised at what opportunities will come at you if you just approach things with an open mind. You have to go into, going abroad with the attitude of, yes, I want to try this, I want to try that. Anyone asks you to do something, yeah, let's do it. And you'll be surprised what you'll take back, as opposed to just saying no to a lot of things.
My experience taught me that I can pretty much handle about anything. Day one, we had airline issues, which I'm not even going to go into. But overcoming that, and overcoming while I was there, just being exposed to different foods. And I used to be a very picky eater, and I kind of put that behind me while I was there, and I said I'm going to have to eat, or else I'm not going to eat for 18 days. And then also traveling, we went from, like we said, from scenery to scenery to scenery, and one of those sceneries was altitude. And I think altitude sickness hit everyone. But at the same point, you're on this amazing experience and you don't want to miss anything. So I was sick a lot of the time, and I just kept pushing myself to go because I wanted to see everything that was there and everything that Peru had to offer. So just being aware that sometimes when I do want to give up, that I know that I can push myself to succeed at a higher level. And then also, it just really opened my mind to everything. I have a much more broader opinion about everything that I come in contact with. It's given me the opportunity to just take from different perspectives and different viewpoints of everything that I encounter.
Just to take that one step further, every place you go opens a little door in your mind that you didn't even know was there, and there's a new room in your head but your experience just makes you just this new person. I went to Italy with the school this past fall, and it was, oh my God, it was so incredible. Such a great experience, and the people were wonderful there. Just opening yourself to their environment.
Well, we've touched on this a little bit, but see if you guys can be a little more specific. How do you feel international travel has enhanced your college education? Like, what has this done for you in regards to being here at KSU?
As a business major, the job market is very competitive. I mean, that goes for all majors, but especially in management, which is what I'm studying. But international travel is going to set you apart from, you know, while your resume is in that stack of resumes that employers are looking at, they can see that I went to Peru. I may have the same GPA as the guy in front of me or the girl below me, but that international experience is something that employers do look for, and kind of going along the lines of what I said earlier, it's an open mind that you come back with, and it's definitely relevant to the work that I'll be doing. So,
I recently graduated as an international affairs student, and being able to travel to, no, I didn't only go to Peru last semester, I also went to China with the school. It helps really put into practice the things that you learn in the classroom. And as you know, as I'm saying, when employers go to interview you or are looking through your resume, it makes a big difference that you've acted on the schooling that you've spent the last 3 or 4 years working so hard to achieve.
International travel, I mean, it opens the door to a lot of things. One of which is giving yourself a greater respect for those who come from different backgrounds and cultures. I've been to Peru and Russia, and they're two complete opposite ends of the spectrum. And it just lets you know that in all aspects of life, you have a greater understanding of the fact that your culture isn't the only one out there, and you are more open to what other people have to offer, whether it be their beliefs, their society, their culture, their food, anything. If you have an openness to that, it just kind of meshes with every aspect of life. You can kind of pick up different things here and there, and really just, it makes you understand how the world functions better.
The LINK program itself has actually enhanced my college career to its maximum potential. I have been involved in all different aspects of the LINK program, and also last fall I traveled to Brazil as a peer leader for another program, and then traveled to Peru in May with my leads group. So both of those trips, I had always said, like when you're growing up, people always say, I want to go to Europe and see all these things. I'd always wanted to go to South America, and that was my main goal. And in the past year, I went twice. And it was the most amazing experience that this single program had changed my entire college career. It's made me more involved with my campus. It's given me this international perspective, and it's really helped me network with the professors and faculty and staff here on campus.
As an art history major, it's very important to actually see the art of a culture in its natural environment, whatever that may be. I don't think you can truly understand the art unless you see it in its natural setting with the people, the actual physical environment, and all that it entails. So it was really important to see all that.
And as a Spanish major, I know it's important to put yourself in that uncomfortable situation and talk to people, even if you don't want to. Since I've been out of school, and even before I was out of school, I would put myself in those uncomfortable situations, even if I sounded like an idiot. But I know, it really pays off when you're having to speak it every day, and when you come back, you're like, man, I didn't know I could be that good. So.
I graduated with a degree in international business right before we left for Peru. So I think the trip to Peru really helped me with that aspect, with being an international business major. But then I also started my master's in international policy management. So whenever we were in Peru and we saw these social issues, like we worked with the orphans and we worked with the water issues, and then whenever we were in Puno, like she mentioned, there was a strike going on from the miners because they didn't want this company to come into this mountain and mine in the mountain because they felt like it was sacred and they didn't want the intrusiveness. So I feel like having exposure to those social issues has really helped me with my, not only my undergrad, but also my master's now.
Does anybody have any questions? Oh, there's got to be a couple. Even silly questions.
I actually have 2 questions. My first one is about, pretty simple, about the orphanages. I guess in 2 of the trips you toured at least one, maybe more. My question was, how are they funded, and did you experience any, like a variety of different types of funding?
Yeah, there's 2 types of orphanages. There's state-run. We went to a Christian orphanage that's completely funded through donations. And did they get state? Or did the state just send them the kids?
The state just sent
them the kids. And then there's state-run ones. They don't have a foster care system there. So it's orphanage or street, basically. And the kids aren't, not all of them are necessarily orphans. Some of them just are from unfit homes. And so other family members petition the state to take them into these orphanages.
And do they receive education as part of that? Is it a state education that they receive?
State education.
And I also wanted to know just a little bit more about the water issues, the water shortages. You know, is it limited to certain geographical areas? Is it a quantity issue, or is it a cleanliness issue, or technological?
Yeah, it depends on where you are in the country. Like in Nazca, when we were in that area, some of the places can only have water 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours at night, and they have tanks on top of their roof, and the truck brings the water in. They're not allowed to dig wells. The existing wells are drying up and stuff like that. But then in some of the other places, it was more of a cleanliness issue than a quantity issue.
The major issue was how, like, the shanty towns that are built up.
Moving close to the city from the rural areas. I mean, they don't have water there, so the city water doesn't service them, so they have to go out and get their water from whatever source they may find. There were a couple situations we were told about where they collectively built a village, had their own water system built, and where the state itself went in and said, well, we can manage this better than you, and they took over control, and then the water that the people had been accessing was being directed elsewhere. It's a case in some areas where the more money you have, the more water you get, and you're taking water away from the more poverty-stricken areas.
Erin, did you want to respond at all to the orphanages?
Basically it was just a Christian organization that ran the orphanage, from what I understood, and I guess they just took donations, and a lot of them were not completely orphaned. Some of them still had families. It's just they weren't in good situations, or I found out that one kid had grown up on the street, so I don't know like exactly. I just know that it was a Christian based orphanage.
Did you need to have the
Dr. Simon, do you know how that works?
Erin, just quickly on I was her faculty supervisor back here at the States while she was in Peru. Erin took part of our Spanish 30 through 98 course, which is, should I stand up? Erin took part in our Spanish 30 through 98 program. We require a study abroad or an internship to complete the major in Spanish, French, or German. And Erin studied in what is now a growing program of internships abroad, so that you take your internship, which would usually be here in the U.S., but you're actually doing that in another country. In this case, it's a program that Dr. Lynn Fideli and I had organized with a program called Ben Peru out of sort of out of UGA to have permanent placements for one or two of our Spanish majors to be able to travel. So the requirements are to have made it through what we call our skills courses, which are the conversation, grammar, composition, and critical reading and writing. So that you have to have a certain level of Spanish to go on lecture. But I can't speak for the LINC program, but for this, in order to be accepted into the internship program, you have to have completed this course.
And the lady that runs the organization, she does the career program every year, and they're always looking for volunteers every summer, and it's for a month long. So if you're interested, I can give you the information.
Like I said, I was just going to say, like, outside of that structured program, if you're going to Peru, it's beneficial to have a background in Spanish. And whenever we were there, we always had someone with us who spoke English and Spanish. And the people there, some of them do speak English, but it's not very extensive knowledge. And so I think if you're going to go, it's beneficial to have some kind of.
And if all of these experiences from the students have piqued your interest about Peru, I urge you to consider to study abroad next summer. I'm Dr. Neisa Figueroa in the Department of Foreign Languages, and together with Dr. Ernesto Silva, we will be taking a group of students to Lima for 6 weeks. And we'll be studying in Centrum, which is a business school with one of the most prestigious universities in Peru. But also there will be an opportunity to go to Cusco, see Machu Picchu, and also to do some service learning, so an experience similar to what you did with an institution called Pro World, which specializes in building cleaner souls for families. So I urge you to consider studying, and it will be an intermediate level, so a lower level than maybe was required for Erin's trip. So
I put together the LINC trip to Peru, and we are going to be doing basically the same thing, but we're going to be taking a whole month to do it as opposed to 2 weeks. So I really encourage you to attend the study abroad fair. It's going to be on October 5th, 4th, October 4th. And we'll give you more information. You can email me. My email is esilva@penso.edu. With Dr. Figueroa, and your email is
mfiguro@penso.edu.
We'll give you all the info you need to go to the summer.
And if you're attending the lectures regularly, you'll be very well prepared for the experience in Peru too. So it's a great opportunity, I think, to learn throughout this year, and then at the end of the academic year, go to Peru with all of this background and knowledge behind you. So, it's a good way to do it.
We have time for a couple more questions for the panel.
I have an announcement. I'm here represented as a student of KSU in the education department for middle grades. And also I'm employed with the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Atlanta in the Cherokee area. And with that organization, the students or the club members are given a country for each location, site. And because I'm the art instructor there, Peru is a chosen country for our club. And we would love if anyone would like to volunteer or share any of the information with those students. We have been studying and doing some online research required to collect artifacts, but if you would like to pass and volunteer, the organization would be more than happy to have your participation, and I as well would appreciate it as a student.
Is there information available?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Any questions?
Erin, how long were you in Peru?
I was there 30 days.
Are we doing anything to help the orphanages, or is there any? Because I remember you mentioned something in class.
Yeah, I don't know of anything that we're doing directly right now, but I know they did give us brochures of what they needed. If any student group wanted to get involved in like kind of raising funds or supplies for their monthly needs.
Start that up somehow.
And while we were there, we had talked with our contact too about that he had given us a list of supplies that they needed, like tissues and paper towels, different things like that. And we were trying to brainstorm ways to how we could give back to them and not just leave this project in May. So what we had kind of brainstormed, and like Brandon said, we haven't exactly gotten it in progress yet, but we would like to do some type of drive to raise those items and then further send them to the orphanage that we visited.
And I know also through VinPeru, they ask for donations when you sign up as a volunteer, or ask your, like, whoever goes on the trip to get donations. And also the orphanage that I worked at, they made jewelry to earn money, so when it's time for them to leave, that they would have some money when they left. So
Ours also did something like that. They made different bracelets and bags and different things that you could purchase when you went there, and I think all of us left there with about 10 bracelets each, so that was a way that we kind of helped them at the time. So.
And we brought some supplies with us as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the orphanage that we visited in Arequipa was almost entirely dependent on, I think, U.S. donations in particular to operate.
It was about $30 a month per child to sustain all of their needs, you know, toiletry, clothing, and food. So, at least at the orphanage we went to, what it broke down to.
How many kids were there? Just
50 were at ours.
There were like 30, 35 kids. And a lot of them were brothers and sisters.
And the orphanage that we visited, they ranged from like 3 to 18. The youngest one was 3 years old, and then the oldest one was 18 there at the orphanage.
They were mostly boys.
Yeah. I remember looking at the brochure, they gave us their monthly needs, and there was some like 400 pounds of chicken and all this other stuff on the list. And it was just, they need a lot of support, and it'd be really good if the university could find some way, like as students, we could find some way to give back.
Okay, well, thank you so much for attending. I want to give one final plug. The photography exhibit that we have opening today in the IGI gallery that's on the second floor of William M. Hall. The official reception is going to be from 5. It's going to be at 5 o'clock tonight, but it's going to be open for at least a month. So please, if you find the time to stop by. Those are photographs featured from, taken by the Link trip specifically. We filtered probably about 8,000 or 9,000 photos down to about 45. But thank you very much for coming.
Please come out.